Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Today we are discussing a dark movie in which a professional killer is forced to carry a dead body on Halloween night to carry out a mission across the city. Unpredictable events on this night make it more difficult for him, and his future will be different. Check the title of the movie in the description. At the movie's beginning, a body is seen lying on the ground with a lot of blood, and his killer, Wilkes, is calmly drinking. He receives a call from his superior asking if he is done. Wilkes explains that he was eating some French cheese and confirms that he is done. His superior asks him to hand over the body before something happens, saying that no one like him can do it. He requests to take the body to the usual place without delay until 2 midnight, and he has 4 hours to do this. After he seals the body with glue, some girls see him while leaving, and they like his clothes. When he goes outside the apartment, he realizes that his car and several other cars were dirty by street mobs and even got a flat tire. He accidentally meets 3 people named Alan, Dorothy, and Nick on the sidewalk. Since Alan likes his costumes and his idea for Halloween night, he tries to get to know him more. Alan says it might seem strange for a stranger to invite someone for a drink, but he asks him to join them at the party they're going to. Wilkes says that his car broke down, which is why Alan tells him that he will take him anywhere. Nick tells him that no taxi is available for him in this situation. On the other hand, Wilkes sees 2 police officers on the street. He knows that his mission may face a problem at any moment, so he has no choice but to accept Alan's offer and go with them. Since they all think it's a fake corpse, even Nick helps him carry it. Alan takes him to his friend's party, and while Wilkes is watching the party, Jack enters the party in an exciting way with the cheers of the guests and hugs his friend Alan. While drinking, Wilkes catches sight of a lonely girl named Maggie, who happens to be looking at him and smiling. A little later, when he lights his cigarette, Maggie joins him with a drink. After introducing herself and complimenting the package he has prepared with his costume and that body for Halloween night, she tries to establish an intimate relationship with him. She curiously asks him about wrapping that corpse, and he says it's straightforward for him because he does it every Halloween, as easy as wrapping a blanket around a pig. He asks if she'd like to include her in something, then says that people think killing is the hard part. He says they assume the next step is hiding the evidence, not knowing they must make up an alternate story. Maggie confirms his words with a mysterious laugh, then explains that she works for Jack, Alan's friend, who owns a scary virtual reality company. After that, Maggie says we are ready, but the body is a bit big. It is better to get help to move it. While he says, there is no we. He goes to Alan, says that he has had his drink, and asks him to show him the car. Standing next to Alan, Jack seems to like Wilkes' appearance and convinces him that he will give him his car, but first, they must drink together. Jack takes them to his private room and explains that everything in this room is expensive. He starts talking about Halloween and his sense of vitality tonight. At the same time, suddenly, the sound of the dead body is heard, and after this sound is repeated, Jack thinks that the body is a robot. From Maggie's looks, she seems to understand this, and Jack jokingly kicks the body in the face at Wilkes' request. A voice from the corpse is heard again, and everyone moves closer to him to hear it more clearly. The corpse's face is filled with blood, and they realize that they are facing a real corpse. Wilkes threatens them and tells Jack that he is technically the killer now because he was the one who hit the body in the face. Maggie, on the other hand, is still trying to act normal. Suddenly, Wilkes kills him by throwing a knife at Nick's head, and their fear increases. Then, he says that whether he is dead or alive does not make any difference to the world. Maggie speaks up and praises Wilkes and admits that she would have loved to do such violence to someone. He asks Jack for the car key, and Jack says that it is in the drawer. Maggie opens the drawer with Wilkes' order. Suddenly, scary objects like a clown appear, which distracts him, and when he returns, he realizes that Jack and his friend ran away from the room with the body and locked the door. Jack goes to the microphone and loudly announces that a killer is going to kill them, but since it's Halloween, the crowd is just surprised. They take the body to the parking lot. Alan admits that he brought the body with him so that he could get a big reward for it, while Dorothy says that she did it because he was a person and might still be alive. After a little discussion, they realize that they forgot the car keys. They conclude they should call the police, and Jack again realizes he has left his phone behind. Maggie decides to help Wilkes. She finds Jack's phone and uses it to take a picture of Nick's body. Jack rushes out and explains to the policeman who stopped on the street that he is in a critical situation, convincing him to go with him. Cleverly and probably with prior knowledge, Maggie finds the book that contains the way out, and Wilkes, realizing the code, finally succeeds in getting themselves out of that secret room. Jack, along with Alan and Dorothy, tries to explain the incident to the police officer, but he asks them to surrender. Suddenly, Jack reveals the body's face to convince the police that it is a real body, and they realize that the dead body belongs to a beautiful and famous man. The elevator door opens. Wilkes comes out with Maggie, and the police officer asks him to surrender. Since Dorothy is sure that the police officer is not capable of fighting him, they sneakily take the body away with the help of Jack and Alan. The distraction of the police officer causes him to accidentally shoot Maggie's hand. This confusion causes Wilkes to cut his throat with a knife and kill him. After killing him, he quickly comes out and checks the surroundings and sees that there is no sign of them and, actually, he has lost the body. Maggie says that if she has a computer, she can find them by tracking their cell phones. Then Wilkes ties Maggie's hands by cutting off some of her clothes and taking her to find them. They are carrying the body in the surrounding streets with difficulty, and Alan believes that having the body of this famous person is valuable to them. They have to take a trolley from a homeless person to carry the body from now on, and Jack gives him some money for it. While he has 2 hours and 40 minutes, Wilkes receives a message from his superior asking if there is a delay. He replies that there is no delay, and on the other hand, Maggie wants to make them look guilty for the murder by sending photos with Jack's phone to Alan. Alan finds out about this and shares it with his friend, and Dorothy also confirms that she is conspiring against them, so they get nervous and lose focus. Jack and Dorothy blame Alan because he was the one who invited Wilkes to the party. Then, after a little argument, Dorothy says that their fingerprints are everywhere and the police know them as the killers. Finally, Alan suggests that they decompose the body to survive this way and explains that he got this idea from the Breaking Bad series. Then, they think about where they should do this and continue to find a solution. Wilkes notices that Maggie has a gun, and she explains that she has it to use as long as it's needed, which makes her feel safe. This question arises for Wilkes. Even though he has killed 2 people so far, she is still with him, while Maggie says that he hasn't killed her yet. They go to a cafe, and Wilkes notices a computer in a customer's bag. They each go to the bathroom separately to clean themselves. Wilkes cleans the blood stain on his face, and Maggie talks to herself in the mirror after washing her hands and face and tending to her wound.
You don't meet guys like this every day. He's smart. Is this crazy? Maggie, what are you doing?
Dorothy finds where they want to destroy the body and manages to open the lock like a professional thief. After entering, they decide to cut the body into pieces first. By stealing a customer's laptop, Wilkes forces Maggie to take action, and she informs him that listening to his words and what he did that night excited her. Then, during a question and answer game, Maggie questions him. He says he got his salary through the dark web and says that he has never met his superior and continues to explain that he chose this job because he enjoys it. Suddenly Maggie also says, "I want that choice." She says that life has consequences, and she always thought that consequences were to scare her until she saw him. Then she asks if it was hard for him to kill the first person. Wilkes replies that it's never hard if you love it. At this moment, his superior calls him and asks him about his mission, and he says there is a small problem he now has under control. His superior suddenly says, "I hope you know where my body is," and it becomes clear that his people have been watching him the whole time. However, at the end of the conversation, he gives him 2 hours to find the body. On the other hand, Jack and Dorothy take turns dismembering the body. Jack gets angry that Alan is not helping them in this matter, and this causes them to argue again. Maggie discovers their location by searching and hacking through the internet and informs him that they are probably somewhere to destroy the body. Then, considering that Maggie has this skill, Wilkes asks her to destroy the camera videos on the policeman's uniform that he killed so as not to leave a trail, and Maggie decides to have fun and act as if the policeman's death was also their fault. Maggie puts the laptop in its place, and they leave the cafe to find them. Alan tells his friends about Maggie's plot that makes them guilty of the policeman's death. After being scared, they come to the conclusion that they should destroy the body much sooner. Alan suggests that the body should be cremated as soon as possible and informs that he got this from Wikipedia. Dorothy says they should take this body for the cremation in the cemetery as soon as possible. She says they must destroy it, and since there are other bodies, she asks Jack to buy 3 tickets to Jamaica so they can immediately take the first flight to run away. They put the body in the trolley again and quickly go to the cemetery without knowing that the body is leaving traces of blood. Later, this makes Wilkes and Maggie aware of their purpose, so they follow them to the cemetery. At the cemetery, he sees traces of blood on one of the graves, then takes Maggie's hand and tells her that she looks like someone he met years ago. Then they kiss each other, and Maggie asks him to stay by her side and says, "You can teach me some things, and from now on, we can be together." Suddenly, Wilkes plunges a knife into Maggie's side and says, "There is no we." He takes the Nix glasses that Maggie took and Jack's phone as well and leaves her to bleed to death, and tears fall from Maggie's eyes while she is in great pain. Dorothy forces the guard to open the door for them in any way possible. Then, since he sees them with the body of the famous person, he thinks that they killed him, but they say that they don't have much time to explain because he might arrive at any moment. At this moment, Wilkes kills the guard by throwing a knife. Dorothy takes the guard's gun, and all three enter the building with fear. Jack closes the door out of fear, refuses to continue, says I'm out and runs away. Alan takes the body to the furnace, and Dorothy also wants to ensure Wilkes can't enter the building. He shows her the keys to the front door, and Dorothy starts running away in fear. Jack takes off his shoes so that he doesn't make any noise while walking and starts talking to himself in front of the mirror to give himself confidence and not to be afraid, unaware that Wilkes is watching him. He calls Jack, and he runs away again. Alan grabs Dorothy and blocks the entrance with a barrier. However, too much fear causes them to lose focus and not know what to do. Jack finds himself in the church hall and prays that he won't be killed tonight. He repents, and then his eyes fall on the coffin, and he decides to hide there to be saved. Inside the coffin he hears someone enter, and after a few seconds, he leaves, so he decides to come out. Suddenly Wilkes appears, sticks his fingers in Jack's eyes, and brutally kills him. He seems to have only 40 minutes left. On the other hand, Alan and Dorothy are preparing the furnace to destroy the body to provide the necessary heat to burn it. Suddenly, Wilkes enters, and Alan is in a situation where he has to defend himself. Dorothy, who is hiding, appears with a gun, and on the other hand, Alan tries to strangle her with a hose. Suddenly, Wilkes disarms her with a kick, and Dorothy can't even kill him with a knife. She goes for the gun, and Wilkes bites one of Alan's fingers and cuts it off, then hits her in the face with the same hose, and she falls unconscious on the floor. He inserts the gas hose into Alan's body, brutally tortures him by opening the gas, and finally plunges a knife into his head and horribly kills Alan. When he looks behind him, he sees that Dorothy is pointing the gun at him, but when she shoots, the bullet backfires, and she is killed. Wilkes throws the bodies of both of them into a preheated furnace to destroy them. He takes the body to a facility area to throw it into the well. He takes some photos of the body and sends them to his superiors with 45 seconds left to the end of his mission. He calls and informs him that he has transferred the money, so Wilkes throws the body into the well. Suddenly, someone shoots him from behind, and it turns out that the shooter is Maggie. It looks like she's back for revenge, and surprisingly, she's not dead yet. She tells him she only wanted a part of what he had, but now she is slowly learning and admits that she is happy to be freed from all illusions. Maggie wraps him in warning labels and carries his body across town, throws him next to the garbage, and seemingly starts a new adventure. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.